Hey, you guys. Welcome to Steele Wars. I'm comedian Steele Saunders, and I do love Star Wars! And we are live at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. And have you ever had an idea that seemed good 5 months ago, and then midway doing 8 podcasts in 4 days realise maybe not the best idea health-wise, but we are here and we are stacking content, guys. Stacking content. I went to JB Hi-Fi and I bought I think it was a 62 gig memory card. And I feel fancy-free. I can just put whatever I want. You're crossing your head. You don't need... Well, I said I think. But the fact you called me out on it proves that you deserve to be in this dungeon with the rest of these nerds. So you are apt. I think it's rad that we're doing it down here. Like, you have to go down like a lane where, let's face it, there have been chalk outlines before. And those chalk outlines have been washed away by human urine. And then down all these stairs. Like, this is where normal people think nerds gather. Because they do. We're here. We're the scum of the earth. No, we're great people. We are great people. We've got to hide down here from the football fans and all that sort of stuff. All that sort of stuff. We've got to hide down here from the people that don't know what mathematical numbers go into memory cards. Those. It's fine. It's fine. I knew I was wrong when I said 62. I was trying to add it up in my head, but I now feel even happier because I now realise I've got an extra 2 gig to work with. So that's another podcast I can leave on that. So that's really good. But what we're going to do today is we've got some returning guests, one new guest, and we're going to go through our favourite and least favourite single points of each film. And we were discussing this before the show, and I was sort of saying, no, let's not discuss them too much because we'll do it on stage, save it for the podcast. And everyone was really struggling with the first 2 movies, A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Like, I can't think of anything bad about them. And then one of us had the bright idea that special editions, yes, easy. So I'm ruling out special editions because that is just fish in a barrel, okay? I'm getting booed by the guests for making their job hard. But I don't know. I kind of have a charming memory now of Han Solo stepping on Jabba's tail. Like, in the end, I think it's, why not step on his tail, huh? Shouldn't have such a big tail. But it is absolutely ludicrous and not very good. But how about we bring up our guests and have a great time from a returning guest, one of our original guests. I think he was in the first 20 episodes because he made the awesome George Lucas special edition version of The Force Awakens trailer, and he's gone on to make the hit comedy series The Wizards of Oz. Please welcome back to the podcast, it's Michael Shanks! And from the Sanspants podcasting empire, we have got the returning Joel Zammit, and for the first time ever, we've got Gabe Bergmoser!
What's up?
Hi, Michael. It's so
Hey,
good to
Steele.
see you again.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I love what you've done with your hair.
Yeah, my girlfriend doesn't.
Well, sweet name drop of the girlfriend there.
That's right. I don't mean to brag.
Well, I have to follow up on when I came round to your house a few years...
My mum's house. That's where I lived at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. I was like, oh, this kid's
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Shouldn't have revealed it now.
Yeah, I was like, this 14-year-old's really set himself up. You've grown since then.
Thank you.
But you just put out the George Lucas special edition trailer of for The Force Awakens, which included many, many TIE fighters and all sorts of great stuff. And it was trending even before we even knew what that word meant. Do you know what I mean? It was all over the shop. And you were taking... I remember being so impressed that you were like taking calls from show business in between while recording the podcast.
Yeah, I was such a douchebag. I was like, we got to wrap because I've got some management and agents calling me. Excuse me, you might have heard of him, Mr. Spielbergo.
I left just going, I gotta get some buzz.
And then you left, and I was like, Mum, you can stop calling me now.
But did anything come of any of those meetings overseas?
Yes. Yeah, it was actually really cool. Like, so I had been working on I'd made a short film like a kind of year before that I'd kind of poured my heart and soul into, which was this little 7-minute long science fiction silent comedy kind of thing.
God, 7 minutes? You didn't have much heart and soul.
Hey, it was jam-packed, man.
Okay, nice.
And the Star Wars thing came out and it was like doing really well. And then so I thought, well, 12 hours after that, I'll just release this short film I made because everybody's looking at my YouTube channel. And that short film coming out actually got me like represented in America, and all these agents and production people called. I even got a call from the Weinstein Company before it was bad. And that is true.
Guess you dodged a bullet there.
Shanks definitely says me too. So,
And I think I mentioned to you when I was like bragging. In the carry on from that, I got to go to like Bad Robot and hang out there whilst they were still making Force Awakens, and got to like see BB-8 and stuff. It was real cool.
Yeah, because you got a secret glimpse at the real BB-8.
A little glimpse, yeah. And what a glimpse it was. It was still changing. I was like, ooh.
Because
I could see its circuits. Is that like a hacky joke about robots being in the nude?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I can imagine it.
If you think that's a hacky joke, you're in for a long hour. But because you had said to me that you thought just in the trailer that BB-8 was real.
Yeah.
Because that was before we sort of found out that, well, back then it was real, but it had like a wheelbarrow handle.
Yeah, like a green
out.
rod that had been taken out.
And then from that they developed like the Sphero version that actually rolls around. Mm-hmm. But I was sort of like, when you told me, I was like, I couldn't fathom it being real. And then when it came out at Star Wars Celebration, it's the most...
It's amazing. It's so good.
Like... You know when Superman 1 came out and it was like the original Christopher Reeve one, it's like, you can believe a man can fly.
Yeah.
And I remember when it came out on the stage at Celebration, I was like, I can believe a droid can roll. I was thrilled. And I was like, Shanks, right again.
Yeah, that's it.
No wonder Weinstein's calling him, or Weinstein. Who cares how you pronounce his name? He's a great
His name
man.
is Mud. It's fine.
Let's get a special edition of someone walking on his tail.
Yeah.
He is a big slug, man.
Gabe, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
And you're on Movie Maintenance?
Yes.
Where you fix films.
It's literally what it sounds like. We take bad movies and we fix them. We incidentally started with, I want to say it was like 9 or 10 episodes on the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty sure you were on one of them, Steele.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
I wasn't on it with you, but I saw your name and then didn't listen to it. So there's sort of pretext.
Did you say you saw my name and didn't listen to it?
I did, I'm sorry.
Wait, as in like you avoided it because you saw the name?
No, not
you
at
were
all.
like,
I just saw it. I was like, I'll listen to that, and then I just never did.
No, look fair. There was like 9 episodes where it was
There
like,
was a
how
lot.
would you fix the Star Wars prequels? Everyone's got their own take.
I loved. I haven't had chance to listen to podcasts, but I'm about to do a lot of flying. But I'm dying to listen to the Plumbing the Death Star of just the topic. Like sometimes the topics are like, yeah, that's. I could just read that topic for an hour. That's very entertaining. But it was, what if Spider-Man kept wrestling?
Yeah, what if basically Spider-Man had learnt the wrong lesson? And was like, yes, Uncle Ben, I will keep wrestling to get that car.
Because I love the wrestling scene because it's sort of like the last great thing the Macho Man Randy Savage did.
Yeah.
And so I was sort of like, That's
Except
really
have
good.
a heart attack and crash his car.
The last great thing, Michael. The last great thing.
It was great, as in spectacular.
Paul at the back, who does our sound, is a huge wrestling fan, and
I'm
he's
sorry.
He's just one tier now, one tier. All right, let's get into the topic, and we are going to rule out special editions.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
It's
look,
just-
that's going to make it harder.
It's just too easy. It's just too easy. And we'll go through in release order. We'll start
All
with
right.
Star Wars A New Hope. Maybe just to ease us in, because it is a very hard film to think of something bad about. Let's start with the best moment. Gabe, where you at?
It's got to be the trench run. Like, every time I watch that, or like just the end of it, the moment Luke shoots the thing, the moment Han comes in, all of that. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen this film. It's a lot. But every single time that moment happens, I find myself punching the air. I can't help it. Like, I just think it's one of the most perfectly constructed, rousing, awesome moments in cinema history. And I can't go past it. Like, I think about New Hope, and it's my favorite Star Wars film. There's a lot I love about it. There's a lot I could probably bring up and justify for the purposes of this. But that's the one that just keeps coming back into my head.
I never get tired of that thrill of
Never.
the Falcon sort of coming like behind the sun or behind, something. It flies in, and there's some bright thing behind the Falcon. Anyway, doesn't matter.
It's behind the sun, keeps going forward, crashes into the sun, dies.
It's the poor man's Macho Man. Just that thrill, and you remember when you were a little kid of, like, because I was a Luke Skywalker guy, and so Han Solo was like the cool older friend or older brother, and it was disappointing when he was just taking his credits and buzzing off with his giant dog. And when he ends up coming back and says, and sort of vouches for the young Luke Skywalker to do his thing, you sort of feel like, I'm okay too. Maybe Han Solo would come back for me.
And it's really funny because there was a few years ago, actually. It was some friend of mine had been insisting that the original Star Wars trilogy wasn't as good as anybody remembered. And they were saying over and over again, like, New Hope and Empire and Jedi, they're just not that good. They don't really hold up. Star Wars isn't as amazing as people say. And I hadn't watched Star Wars in a few years at the time. That friend, I'm trying to remember his name.
Was that me?
It was you, yes. It was Joel Zammit. And like,
I simply, it was an academic question of, do we put Star Wars on a pedestal? And you and another friend of ours just jumped down my throat.
But the problem is, because you said that, and I think I've, vigorously defended it. But in my head, I'm like, that's not true. That's impossible. Like, I couldn't accept it. And so there was just this one morning where, like, I think I was going to a party, like, in that afternoon or something, and I put on A New Hope. I was like, I'll watch like 20 minutes of this. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm going to prove Zammit wrong. I'm going to get him. And I put it on, I watch it. And within 20 minutes, like, I was sort of on my phone. I was doing things around it. Within 20 minutes, I was like fixated. And then, like, by the end of it, I was late to the thing I had to be to because I had to finish that film. And I got to the end, I was like, it's a perfect movie. I can't fault it, which makes the purpose of today's exercise somewhat difficult.
Hard.
But yeah, no, so in your face.
Yeah,
it
no,
holds
okay.
up.
Look,
it's great.
Look.
Because when you were saying it's some friend, I'm like, well, I hope you're not friends with him anymore. But
I'm on stage with him as we speak.
it doesn't mean you have to be friends with him. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough. And that's how the birth of Plumbing the Death Star, actually. It was the precursor of that episode.
Yes,
Or that
actually.
whole show.
Well, one of the cool things about the trench run, just to jump in quickly, is like that, like lots of like screenwritery people say is it's great because it ties up the three main characters' arcs in like one exact moment. Like in the same moment, Luke proves he is the hero by defeating the bad guys. Han proves he's not a piece of shit, and Leia's rebellion is totally saved in like one little like 5-second chunk. So it's really like pointed towards the goals of all the characters. It's pretty cool.
It's weirdly elegantly written, considering this is the person who later gave us, Anakin, you're breaking my heart, you're going down a path I can't follow.
Hey,
but
save it.
Exactly. Save that for the
Sorry.
best things, I mean,
But I think a lot of it is also, like Marshall Lucas that did the editing, was combining all that, like, to combine as one, because I think the original cut was more linear, like, we're just on Luke. And originally Luke was going to do 2 runs. Like, how, like, one of, like
me after a curry, right? Sorry, I'll be quiet now.
Originally he was going to do 2, and then they switched it over to like Gold Leader or whoever like misses it. But yeah, the way that sort of it edits with, Princess Leia and C-3PO, and as we found out in the sequel trilogy, C-3PO looking very nervous, that face, it puts everyone off. And yeah, it's just like the way it's just pieced together. And it staggers me how thrilling still that the Falcon coming back and, you're all clear, kid. I'm excited now.
It's a perfect moment.
Let's watch Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars is great.
What about you, Zammit? What's your best spot?
To me, I mean, there's a lot of moments where I love that scene, the scene with the twin sons, but I think it's always the introduction of Han Solo. You sort of just the introduction of this person because yes, we all wanted to be Han, but we're all yes, maybe I'm a bit more Luke Skywalker, but I didn't even think I was that cool. So it's always this guy who is just larger than life, who's very just suave, and the whole thing of Han shot first or whatever. And the reason why I think that got a whole lot of traction is because in one scene, you understand this character. He is the guy that will shoot first. He is the guy that will do that. He's not going to dodge and then take a bullet. He's just going to be yep, you're after me. I'm going to shoot you, and I'm so cool. And fuck you, man. You think you're good at this thing? Man, I did this in 12 parsecs. You didn't even know what that means because I'm great. And I love that guy. He was just, again, this epitome of who you all wanted to be, this sort of roguish, cool character. And I'd always be every time they go into the cantina, you're yes, it's going to come. Yes, it's happening. Yes, there he is. And yeah, that's sort of my favorite scene in A New Hope.
When I was in London one time, they had the Empire Strikes Back secret cinema, the secret cinema concert, where they you sort of go into an interactive experience for a few hours, and then you see the film in an interactive way. And we were there for Empire Strikes Back, and they've done other things like Back to the Future. They did 28 Days Later, which, knowing how immersive it is, get fucked. There is no way I'm going to that. That would be terrifying.
People running at you in zombie makeup?
Yeah, I'd be like Shanks after a couple of curries.
Yeah.
No good.
You would be doing diarrhea.
It would be terrible. But they had this, I bumped into Obi-Wan Kenobi there, I kid you not, because they have, actors playing.
Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yes.
Wow, that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Do you think he means old Ben?
Yes, excellent. And because I had actors portraying all these characters, and he said, go see, I sort of went up to him and said, I don't know what to do in Tatooine. What does a young buck like me want to get up to? And he goes, you should go see this smuggler, Han Solo. He might be able to get you some spice. And he's in the cantina. I'm like, all right, that's awesome. And so I went in, and this British actor doing an amazingly bad American accent, which I loved. I adored it, how just apple pie this accent was. He's sitting in the little enclave in Star Wars with Chewbacca, and Jackie, my wife, just said, as I walked off, she just said, that was either the most embarrassing or sweetest thing I have ever seen. You were fanning out. You were fully just excuse me, Mr. Solo. Can I have some drugs? Oh, it's just seeds that you bought at the store. All right, I'll snort them. I still have those drugs, actually. And I've smuggled them into 2 separate countries.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got them through customs. Well done.
It's pretty impressive. Well, I put them in my Falcon's secret hatch.
Yeah. Keisted them.
All right, let's go for what's the worst part of A New Hope?
Oh man, this is so hard. There is something, and it only bugs me in the context of the later films. I really need to stipulate this, and it's such a minor thing.
How dare you!
That's what I'm expecting.
You piece of
You
shit.
should have seen the reaction I got when I admitted that I hate Rogue One.
Don't worry, you're amongst other friends who also hate Rogue One.
It's a safe space.
Agreed.
It's the fact that I don't know if it's because it's the first film, and I don't know if it was a budget constraint or what, and I don't know if it's just because I've got it so in my head from the later films. But if you rewatch A New Hope, Vader, his costume is a little bit gimpy. Go back and look at it. His head's too big and his shoulders are too small. And
his
he
eyes are
doesn't
kind of
have the
transparent
same-
as well. His
He
lenses
doesn't-
are
He doesn't have the same imposing presence he has in Empire or Return of the Jedi. And it really stands out every time I watch it. Like, he strides in. It's like, I'm so used... The image of Vader in my head from being a kid is so terrifying and towering and broad-shouldered and all of that. And then when he walks in A New Hope, watch it again, he sort of looks... He looks a little bit like a bad Vader cosplay. And it's so weird, because that's the original. That's Vader. That's how he was established.
You're a bad Vader cosplay.
I'll admit it.
You're a fake fan.
Yeah,
Unsubscribe.
But calling him gimpy sort of says more about your lifestyle than anything
Yeah,
else.
I was thinking we were talking bring out the gimp kind of thing. Is that what you were sort of getting at?
I don't want to get into the private things I do at home, the privacy of my own home, with or without a Vader costume. I won't comment on that.
God, you must have loved it when he came out of that little chamber in Empire then. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, just take that helmet off. But that's it. But the thing is, I really need to stipulate here, that's all I can think of. That really is the only thing I can think of, because I love A New Hope. And it's just that one little thing where every time he walks on, because, when he comes through the smoke and I'm like, oh, it's Vader. And then it's like, oh, wait, And it's just that one moment of disappointment. And it's so tiny, it's so minor, and I forget about it for the rest of the film. But you asked me to find a bad thing in New Hope, and that's not even a bad thing. It's just something that stands out. That's all I had. I love A New Hope.
What about you, Joel?
Right. Well, I can think of two. Both are kind of like maybe nitpicky, I guess. But one is just the emotional turmoil that Luke Skywalker should have, but just doesn't, when he sees Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru just like a charred corpse. It's like you can see their skeleton still there, and he's like, space. It's like, these people that raised me as a child took me in and, I guess loved me. I don't even know why I'm calling them uncle and aunt, because to me they were mum and dad, but space.
It's like he's like, I'm sad they're dead, but boy, do I think skeletons are cool.
Yeah, skeletons are rad, and this new old man said he's going to take me in a falcon and go to space. And I'm going to do that now.
There's that fan theory that Obi-Wan killed Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, because like, man, I really need to get this kid off this planet. Hey, wait here for a little bit. I'll be back in a sec.
This kid's the gasoline.
Skeleton.
There was a review that came out of Last Jedi.
Wait, is that a force power? You can just go skeleton.
Skeleton. You've obviously not read the extended material.
Don't get all Ronnie Chang on me, please.
It's so funny, because like this review I read of, I think it was from news.com, go figure, and the review kind of made the point that it was like, oh, everybody in the new Star Wars films is so sensitive. Like when Leia's planet was blown up, she just got on with it. When Luke's family died, he just got on with it. And I'm like, I don't think those were good things in the original. Actually, yeah, Leia's planet, that's probably like Leia's sort of, oh no, Alderaan, and then that's it.
Moff Tarkin, you rapscallion.
Yeah, you scoundrel.
All the people that I knew and loved growing up, they're all gone in one
planet.
fell swoop.
It's like, get on with it, Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And that
the
was
working
basically
title
the
of
thesis.
Star Wars. Get on with it, Hiroshima.
Yeah, I don't know. Characters just seem like to shrug things off, and this review was arguing that is a laudable trait. That it's like the potential sociopathy of Luke and Leia in that film. I suppose they've descended from Vader. I don't know. Like that's a good thing.
The craziest thing is Princess Leia. That's just lost her planet. Her parents is just patting Luke, just like going,
yeah, right.
I'm
that
sorry.
Guy you met 5 minutes ago.
I'm sorry
He's
about
dead.
the hobo. I'm sorry.
That old man you met like 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mum and dad are dead, but yes, this guy, tough break, kid.
And like when Owen and Beru die, like Luke has that moment where he kind of looks down, then he's like, off I go. And then when Obi-Wan dies, you get that whole scene of the Falcon. He's like, Leia's stroking him. It's all like, oh, it's going to be all right. And he's like,
I just can't believe he's gone.
What's yours, Shanksy?
It's tough because it's all so good, but like there's like goofy shit in there that I actually love, but I guess it's kind of stupid. Like a lot of the background Mos Eisley characters, like the fact that they have a literal demon and Dracula. I mean, I think the problem is that we don't spend more time with Dracula. I wish we had a whole subplot where, like, before they got to Han, they'd been like, there's lots of, like, smugglers around here. Let's try Count Smugula. And they go over to him and it's like, what is in my blood bank?
He wants to smuggle some teeth into your neck.
Yeah, for sure. But like, seriously, like, the bullshit that Chewie doesn't get a medal at the end. And that last scene is, like, very funny. Like, I don't want to brag again by saying I got a girlfriend, but she didn't watch Star Wars until I forced her to, and she was like, yeah, this is pretty good, but she couldn't stop laughing during that final scene because it's just people smiling for like 3 minutes and nobody talks. It's goofy as, and if you take away the nostalgia, it's just like
Have you seen the cuts without music?
Oh, so funny. Yeah, yeah.
So awkward. So uncomfortable.
It's a ceremony of hundreds of people just being completely silent. And
Hundreds of cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, that's as well the second one. They just didn't give Chewie a medal. And do you reckon they just because they think he's a dog?
yeah,
Do you reckon they're just like, no, he was just there as a companion, yeah?
yeah, he's like your pet.
So like
right?
he's the pet. We don't give we do give like fire dogs. Like if a dog like rescues someone
Dude, I
from
give
a fire,
my cat awards like every
yeah,
week.
right. I know.
that
You've
cat
been a
doesn't fly
good girl, have a
spaceships.
medal. This like dog shoots a gun, and
Yeah.
that's impressive.
and has a bandolier, which
Yeah.
is very stylish.
He should have given him a medal.
I-
Well, because they couldn't find out where to pin it on him.
They had a lanyard.
They had a yeah.
Maybe it's just in his bandolier. He's
Maybe.
like, thank you, sword.
Maybe he just ate it straight away.
They're like, this is why you don't get things, Chewy.
Yeah.
Gold foil chocolate, methinks.
The one thing I could think of that, and I have to go into my like things that annoyed me when I was little, was when Obi-Wan comes and scares off the sand people by making like the crate dragon thing, and the noise, which has changed like 18 times. It's
go like that.
Not the noise isn't my thing, but just that he's like in a bathrobe going, whoa, run away, and they run away. It's just like these sand people, like have some sand balls.
You kind of expect that robe to like reveal like three little urchin children standing on each other's shoulders, being like, "We love you, Luke," and then like scarpering off.
But yeah, I was confused as a child that like why they're scared of like a man in like shouldn't it be just like, oh, there's a man in robes, let's beat him up now as well.
It's a Jedi power that's never really used again. The ability to emulate dragon voice. Like they just turn into Skyrim for a second.
Give it time. Have faith in JJ. Episode 9. All right. This is a tough one. Pretty easy to go with best moment. So we'll start there. Empire Strikes Back.
It's I Am Your Father. It's got to be. Like, I know it's such a cliche, but like every time I watch that moment, I try to put myself in the mindset of somebody who didn't know. And I saw it. I think I first saw Star Wars when I was like 6, when the special editions came out in '97, and I can't remember for the life of me what my reaction was at that moment. But every time I watch it, I'm just like, it's just such a beautifully conceived, well-delivered, powerful twist that legitimately changes everything, and that prior to that moment there was no indication of, and yet afterwards there's no other way it could go. And the fight leading up to it is great. It's an amazing showdown. It's an amazing scene. It's an amazing climax. It's just, I really don't know what I'm going to criticize about this film.
The great thing about it, like obviously, the father thing was developed later on. Like when they originally made Star Wars, that wasn't part of the plan, and then they sort of worked that out later on. But unlike other, I guess you'd call it a retcon, if you can have that in 1980. Like now they're all the time, but when you watch Star Wars, or when you watch A New Hope, it's like, it seems like they knew. Like, it seems like Uncle Owen, the way he acts that thing, like when he's talking about Anakin, and the way Ben Kenobi talks about Anakin, it's like, oh, this was, like, it fits perfectly, which is my favorite thing when you introduce something new, like a twist, that when you watch back, it's like, it all sort of fits. And, like, that's what makes it, like such a sweet meatball.
Yes. And it's just like it's just like as a moment it's so entrenched and it's so parodied now, and we all just kind of take it for granted. But you look at it and you think about it in the moment, in the context of that film, what it signifies. I mean, it changes everything for Luke. It later on changes everything for Leia. It changes everything for Vader. It adds complexity to what we think about the Empire and the bad guys in the film. It's just one of the most. It is, without hyperbole, one of the most inspired moments in cinema history. And they built a whole prequel trilogy around it. Like, it's just...
Thank God.
Yeah, right? Because God forbid we missed out on that. But yeah, no, I mean, I just don't think you can really go past what that moment did and the power of that moment when it comes to Empire.
Yeah, fair.
Zammit.
Right, I really like the Vader dinner party. When they're about to walk in. to like presumably have like as a meeting or whatever, a chat, and then there's just Vader sitting at the head of the table with a bunch of stormtroopers, and like I think from memory the table's laid out like a pleasant meal.
Sort of set, yeah.
And so I'm like, what did they think was gonna happen? He's just like, oh, sick space chicken. I'm just gonna sit down and let's just talk this over. Did he prepare it? Who prepared it?
The Ugnaughts.
All right.
Have you seen the Robot Chicken skit where it actually shows the dinner scene play out?
Oh, right,
It's
no.
like this Robot Chicken skit where they're just sitting there in silence and like everyone's just eating. It's just the next 5 minutes. Vader's like, so, blew up your planets.
Like, they could make that better if it was like Thanksgiving as well. And he's like, it's a giant big turkey. And just like just all the Thanksgiving fights that happen. But no, I absolutely love that. And I love Lando's cape. Oh, God, I love his cape. It's such a good cape. No, what other hero wears a cape? None of them. Lando does. It's not even a cape. Half cape.
I mean, Superman.
Mendo wears a cape.
Yeah, I said with a hero.
And I said Mendo. You say hero, I say Mendo. Hero. See, it sort of works.
Yeah, look, fair. I mean, look, as all the things that happened in Rogue One, I did enjoy Mendo's performance.
Don't even step there, buddy. Shanks?
Heaps. One thing that sticks out is like John Williams' asteroid score. It's my favorite John Williams thing. I think that's a... You guys know it as a classic hit. Yoda's great. I know we'll get there, but I feel like I hate Yoda so much in the prequels because they took out what was fun about him was that he was a maniac goblin man. He's crazy. He's just like and stealing his food and hitting R2-D2 with a stick. Yeah. He's a lunatic. He's a proper, like, mental hobo guy on a swamp planet. He lives in a giant toilet. And then it's like, and he secretly wise. Like, what a great reveal. And then in the prequels, he's just, like, boring. He's just so shit. And I just, by comparison, he's like
flips and shit.
It's the worst. And he just, like, hangs out on Luke's back like a backpack, like an asshole. He's such a dick. It's like, this is the savior of the galaxy. He's like, fuck you, I'm sitting on your shoulders.
One improvement if it had been like a papoose, and so he was like front facing.
So much better. Yeah.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, maybe a double system and put Yaddle in the front. I'm like,
ooh.
Yeah, that and Lobot. Lobot's good. Love Lobot.
Lobot's good. It's just you got to stick to just one.
Impossible.
You know what I mean? I would have to go with the X-wing levitation.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
And then the lesson of do or do not, there is no try. I just think that is just brilliant. Like just a latex puppet raising his hand with the right music and a sweet like ship effect. It's like that is
beautiful.
so good. All right,
Satisfying.
that's the easy action.
Okay.
Thank God.
All right. Ooh.
What's the worst thing? What's the worst moment in Empire Strikes Back?
I'm gonna.
Gabe looks like he's about to cry. By the way.
It's so hard. I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna say the fact that when I was 6, it made me hate Star Wars. Because I walked out and I was like, everything sucks. Han's in carbonite and Luke's gone and lost a hand and the Empire's won. And I summed out, I was like, never watching a Star Wars film again. Then, of course, obviously, like 2 weeks later, they released a special edition
little
of...
piss baby.
I was a Luke kid. And he lost his hand. He was incomplete. He didn't have a hand anymore.
Yeah, look,
He can't play the keytar anymore.
It sounds like you're on Twitter talking about The Last Jedi.
Yeah, right. Oh, God, no, that would kind of have to be it because you rewatch Empire and fuck, it's a good film. Like there are so few like cracks in that armor, and I would just have to say like I don't know, that's a purely personal thing. Like when I was a kid, I walked out and I hated it. When I was an adult, I watched it, I was like, it's amazing. But as a kid, it was traumatizing. It was legitimately traumatizing because I wasn't used to films where the heroes lost, which retrospectively is a great thing. But that's literally all I've got.
Yeah, right. Is this the one where Luke and Leia make out a bit?
Oh yeah, that.
No, we've already done best scenes.
Shit.
When my sister and I watched that when we were kids, it was really... It informed a lot of decisions we made.
Let's play Star Wars.
I'll be Leia, you be Luke. I mean, look, in retrospect, I mean, I don't like that incest is a prevalent thing in our, like, pop culture, because we've got that in Game of Thrones.
The best part of Game of Thrones.
It just seems that, I don't know, incest is a theme that a lot of writers like to explore. So that I don't know if I hate it, I just find it odd. But going back to your, there is no, do or do not, there is no try. I think that's a terrible lesson. As a former teacher, I kind of hate that. It's because, like, no, failing is good, and we should try and try a lot until you eventually either succeed or you learn from your failures. So that to me is potentially something.
Hang on.
Yes.
Failure is the best teacher, Yoda says in The Last Jedi. Do or do not, there is no try.
Yes.
Yoda says in Empire Strikes Back.
And in
Yes.
Return of the Jedi, he says, if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again.
Yes.
Dust yourself off and try again, try again.
Is Yoda just taking the piss?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a maniac.
Any weight to anything he says?
He's fucking got swamp brain, man. Don't think he's a wise teacher. He's been in a swamp for fucking what, 2 decades? Being like what, snorting fucking bug juice, being like...
His best friend is man
He also
thing.
lived for 900 years before that. And then what, it's a couple of decades in the swamp. Yeah, that just fries him.
Well, exactly, because 900 years, your brain is deteriorating, right? I mean, like, we don't know if he's got whatever race he is, like Alzheimer's. Like, I would argue yes.
Do you think he's just been on that planet for 20 years, and the only food he could get was like takeaway Chinese? So he's just speaking about all the fortune cookies he's been opening.
100%. Plus, also you got to think about like just solitary confinement, because he's been there, I guess, in like what, alone for 2 decades?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that'll cause anyone to go nuts, unless he's just going to that tree, seeing like past visions of himself as like Vader or some shit. Like, that's I don't know, what's he doing for 2 decades?
That would be great. Every day he fights Vader, cuts off his head, and then it's got Yoda's head in it. He's like, well, can't wait till tomorrow.
This is a good tradition.
He's got his own little version of Groundhog Day going.
Well, and the amount of suspect mushrooms that must be growing on Dagobah.
Oh,
that's
fuck.
probably what's in that soup that Luke eats, and then just hallucinates the whole Vader thing. Cuts to him sober, he's just like patting a tree, being like,
But I think you're missing the point of the do or do not, there is no try. It's not to start something with like, yeah, maybe I'll do it. You've got to go in like...
Well, I guess it just needs some clarification.
Yeah.
A little
like,
bit.
You got to go in with the mindset that you are going to succeed.
Well-
you can't set yourself up for failure.
I get that aspect, and I think, in like today's society we have a problem with failure, and I think failing is very good, and I think maybe there should have been more emphasis on
No,
that.
but it's not the fail. It's not
Yeah.
like he's just. But don't go into
Yeah,
it
yeah,
with
yeah.
like.
Don't be
yeah,
defeated. Don't be defeated. I get that.
Yeah, maybe.
But again, we're nitpicking here because I love Empire. It's like one of my favorite Star Wars
Because the
films.
lesson was that Luke didn't actually think he could get the X-wing out, so he didn't get the X-wing out.
No, exactly. It's positive thinking. That's great.
Yeah.
He followed the secret. He believed in himself, and he could.
So the next time you sort of like try to reverse park, you've got to
Yeah.
go in with that thing of like, I am going to reverse park.
100%.
Yeah, if you
And
like,
look, and again, if you do it right, this happened to me literally like 2 days ago. I did it wrong. I was like, I fucked up. This is on me. I'm going to have to try again. And I did. And I nailed it the second time around. Yes. Thank you. I was very proud.
So what was your best bit? Did you do that yet? No, we're on the bad bits.
we're on the bad bits. Best bits.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, we're on bad bits. What's your bad bit?
I don't know. My bad bit. Again, do or do not try. Whatever. Yeah, that guess maybe. But honestly, like, it's all good.
With the hindsight of Return of the Jedi, I'm going to use the incest as the worst part of Empire Strikes Back.
How about you, Shanksy?
oh, I got a little one. It's just like a small one. And I feel like you'll explain it because I'm just dumb. Right after the I am your father thing, Luke's like, see ya. And he falls off. And then he falls like 1,000 stories and just gets sucked in a tube and he's fine. I never get that. How does he survive that fall? And you can say the will of the Force as much as you want. I just don't get it. And I'm willing to be wrong. Like, how does he... Is that his plan? He's like, oh, I can sense there's a tube like 3,000 feet below me that I'm going to get into. And then he does it. It's just weird.
I always thought it was... He didn't think... He just thought he was going to die. Because he didn't want to, join his father and stuff. So he was just like, I'm out. Peace. And which when they sort of edited in his scream in a few different versions, it was sort of like, you're kind of making his, bold move lessening a little bit. But I think, in my head, it was always like that tube was sort of like a filtration system. And so when things did get dropped, like you could just like go to the top of that tube and, drop Ugnaughts in.
Like they were
and
building...
And they would sort of get like sucked into like the vacuum system.
So they were building Cloud City, and they're like, I reckon a lot of suns are going to jump down this tube after a cutting familial revelation. We should build in a Luke Skywalker's filtration.
So from
It's like, should we build better guardrails?
No.
Nah, mate, nah.
I've got a system, it's going to work good. So is this from Luke's perspective being like, look, I've got this arsehole's just revealed that he's my dad, fuck this, I'm going to just kill myself because I can't deal with this, right? Rolls over, falls, and then just gets sucked up. He's like, oh, wow, that was a freebie.
I nailed this.
But the
knew?
fact that he gets sucked down and then he kind of lands on a little, like a hatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the hatch. Maybe it's a bit too happenstance.
Maybe all of Cloud City is one robot, and like it's still got a bit of R2 in it, and it's like coordinating. That's so stupid.
Or this is very to my taste. Cloud City was built as a giant pinball, and the humans are the balls. And you know, they're like locking suns, and if you lock 3 suns, you get multi-Ugnaught or something like that.
I do like the big droid theory, though. How big can we get a droid? Can we get like a planet-sized droid?
Oh, yeah, it would be great if the Death Star had a personality.
Yeah.
You could feel pain.
Oh no, you guys don't know?
No.
In the expanded universe, there was a story.
Fucking great.
Oh no, are you ready? Because when people like miss the expanded universe, it's like, really? You miss?
Look, it's just lay
you ready?
it on me. Lay it on me. Yep, all right.
All right. So, as the second Death Star blows up, just it blows up. I think it's like 10 seconds before the bounty hunter droid IG-88's brain like syncs with the Death Star and he takes it over. There is an EU story where he's like uploading himself to the Death Star and he's about to take it over and then it blows up. What a shame.
Oh, God.
Unlucky.
To what end was he uploading it for? What was his plan? Was he just like, I'm going to be big and that's going to be good? Or like, just to be like, this will get me all the bounties.
Yeah, I'll be able to find Han Solo now.
Yes. I'll point my laser. He's like, he's inside you. Shit.
To the mirror planet.
So yeah, that is a horrible tale. What about Return of the Jedi? Best.
I kind of love the bit on Jabba's barge where they all kind of come back together. And what's that line Han says where it's something like, how are we doing? And Luke's like, oh, same as always. And I was like, oh, that good, huh? And I love that moment because it's just so like, prior to that, you know, End of Empire is so dark. And then like even the start of Jedi, it's like Luke comes in and gets thrown the Rancor thing. And then Leia comes in, she gets found out. And Han's let out, but he's blind and stumbling about the place. And it's like...
You've got the order completely wrong, you fake fan. Okay?
How fucking dare you?
Yeah, I wasn't going chronologically, but it's one of those, that moment kind of on the barge where they come together and they defeat Jabba and they get out of it. It's like, it's kind of like, yeah, cool, we fucked up an Empire, but we're going to be okay. And we're back together, and yet we're stumbling through it, and we're fucking up, and, you know, Boba Fett's falling to the thing in the sand and all of that. And I just love it. Like, it's just such a fun sequence that kind of just is like, yeah, my friends are going to be okay. They're getting back together, they're fighting through, they're going to survive. And, yeah, I love that whole part of Jedi.
Do you know why you love it? Because it's the greatest series of images ever projected onto a white wall ever.
Stunningly beautiful.
Man, free us or die. Front flip.
Great.
Catch a saber, ignite the green, and it's on. Like, that was all your childhood hopes and dreams. Just,
and also just like coming back to what I said before about that ending of Empire. Like, I mean, bearing in mind that I saw these films like 2 weeks apart because I think that was a sequence they were released when they came out in cinemas in '97, and like. I spent 2 weeks being like, Luke was fucked up. And no, I didn't say fucked up because I was 6. I didn't know what fucked up was. But coming into that whole opening part of Empire, like as a kid, it was so rousing because all of the things that went wrong in Empire was suddenly okay. Like, yeah, they learned from it. Luke came in, he had the green lightsaber, he forged his own identity. It was just such a beautiful, rousing, amazing moment that even to this day, I can't fault.
What about you, Joel?
I do love the sound effect of like Leia's mask when she goes and sees not Leia's mask. The sound effect that happens there.
Oh, Bosch.
Yeah.
The dialogue.
Click, 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 that kind of weird sound. I love the little Jabba's buddy, Salacious Crumb. Fuck, what a good cheer squad.
Put that crumb in my tongue.
Oh, yes, please. I love the elevator scene. Just again, because I can imagine how awkward that would have been just sort of being there with like your evil dad being like, I can redeem you, and he's like, no, you're not gonna redeem me.
Which floor did you push the button? Okay.
But I think that the scene I absolutely adore and love is the Rancor trainer crying.
So good.
Because he's just like, oh, he has no stake in this, but the Rancor. He's like, he doesn't care about your space opera family drama bullshit. He was just looking after his Rancor, and you killed it in a very gruesome way, and he's so upset.
It's such an interesting thing when you're little because you're like, yes, dead monster. And then you see this man come out and start crying.
The Rancor's husband.
Yeah.
Like I always assumed. And see, when my sister and I watched that scene, we were like,
So yes, it was very, very, very sad to be like, that man has lost his wife.
What's your hotspot, Michael?
Also in Jabba, just you were saying this before, but robot torture, and I forget his name, but that robot who's like, you are a protocol droid, are you not? Yes or no will do. Excellent. And then it just cuts to the robot being like, psh,
Fuck, I
it's
love
so needlessly cruel. Why
I
can't they
love
feel
droid
pain?
torture in the Star Wars U. Why do they give droids pain? It's great. Yes, please.
But that's the magic of Star Wars, are these little moments that like people are made, they've got nothing to do with the story. But that gonk droid upside down going, yeah, yeah. And it's like, why does the bottom of your feet hurt?
Yeah.
Like,
What did the gonk droid do to deserve that? Why does it feel pain? I love the theory that it's because of in episode 1 how all the droids were a bit like were a bit of pieces of shit, and they cause all these problems that like as a society the rest of the space are like, fuck droids.
Yeah, we're going to torture
Give them
them
pain.
forever.
How dare they try to rise up against us sentient beings? But no, I just love the fact that they've just clearly programmed these things to feel pain. Oh, yes, more of that.
It's robot torture, and then it hard cuts to Max Rebo playing some jizz, and it's just like the coolest thing ever.
Max Rebo does not play jizz. I have to correct you there.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
well, what genre is it?
I don't know what
barge
it is.
funk. It's like yacht rock, but on a barge.
I like that barge funk. That is great.
Anyway,
It's an amazing song. I would have to, of course, the Ignite the Green moment that's my favourite thing of my life.
and you've been married.
Of my life. Let's go worst.
I like that you're always up
I
first.
know,
It's good.
I feel like I get the easy ones. And I'm going to go for another easy one. Like, I actually don't hate the Ewoks in theory. Like, I think it's fine. Star Wars is populated with lots of, like,
They're
cute
nice.
and weird
They're
aliens.
nice.
But then they just don't go away. Like, and it's that one part in Jedi when I rewatch it, like, the whole first part, Jabba's palace, the barge, all of that. I'm like, this is great. I'm having an awesome time. Fuck, I love this movie. Why do people kind of, rank this one lower? And then they get to Endor and you get the first scene with Leia and Wicket and you're like, oh no, here we go. And then there's just that whole extended, drawn-out thing in the village, and it feels like padding. And that whole part of the film, I'm like, I just want to get to the good stuff. And then you get to the good stuff, and the Ewoks are still there. They just don't go away for the whole film. It
Dude,
really
you're
knocks
banned
it
from the
down.
podcast now, okay? I remember as being a tiny little boy in Rosebud and watching Return of the Jedi for the last time, and when they all got, like, trapped... They get it's like Han and all the Empires around them, like at the bunker, and then it's like, doo 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 doo, and I remember being a little kid, like going, "What's that horn mean?" And then it's like, dun dun, and there's Ewoks popping out of everywhere. Just get off the stage. It was so just like, they've come through. The little teddy bears have come
It's
through.
just like, even when I was a kid, I remember like Mum being like to me, "Do you like the Ewoks, son?" And I'm like, "No, I hate the Ewoks. I hate the teddy bears. You never bought me one when I was a kid. Why do I like them on the screen?"
Well, tell Mrs. Bergmoser if she wants a proper son.
Yeah.
All right. How dare you? What about you, Zammit?
So again, things I dislike. This maybe not. That wasn't in the movie.
Just one thing. You don't have to go through a
I know. It's just one thing. Because it isn't in the movie, but it's implied in the movie that doesn't happen. Because Ewoks eat people, yeah? That was implied that they're going to cook and eat. And then they don't eat someone. That's disappointing. Just to see them cook up a stormtrooper would have been neat in the final ceremony. Or them feeding like Lando having like a bit of a sit or something like, what's this? And they're like, stormtrooper. He's like, oh...
Well, that's at the end when
And then
they're
going for a second sip. I think that'd been
at
great.
the end, I sort of, when I was little, I didn't really understand the masks
Yeah.
that the stormtroopers had on, because you never see an unmasked
No,
stormtrooper.
no.
Like you see like Han and Luke, but yeah, when they were playing the bongos at the end, it was sort of just like,
Because again,
I hope they took their heads out.
I hope they
first.
didn't. Or maybe they did. I don't know. It's kind of like eating a turtle. Like, it comes with its own shell and bowl, so you can be like,
No eating turtles.
you could eat a turtle. I mean,
No eating
apparently they're
turtles.
delicious. Darwin loved them.
He did.
Yeah.
But they couldn't name the tortoise for a long time because they ate it on the boat.
How
They couldn't
delicious
get it back
must
to
those
England.
turtles have been?
Yeah, pretty
That's
good.
my question.
And I've had KFC, so
Yeah.
I know delicious.
So I reckon Stormtroopers equally as delicious. That's my theory. Cook in its own shell. Disappointing didn't happen. Am I right? Yeah, I'm right.
What about Shanks?
I'm really tempted to say... Oh, no, I'm not going to do two things. Well, I am, sorry. I'm really tempted to say Chewie doing Tarzan, because that's fucking stupid. But who braided Leia's hair? What the hell? She goes down on like a tactical mission in like super cool recon gear, and then we catch up with her 5 minutes later. She's wearing a dress, and she's got braids after hanging out with a bunch of savages who want to eat her. It's like, how did this happen?
Maybe that's part of the prep.
Yeah, maybe that's the cooking ritual. Like how we dress pigs up in dresses and braid their hair, and then we slaughter the
Yeah,
fuck
it's
out of them.
like when you roast lamb and you put like all basil and garlic in there first. It's
First we braid the
Then it's
hair.
like prepping. Yeah,
Yeah,
prepping.
it's really going to taste like this lovely dress that we've hewn out of rosemary.
Excuse me, lady, can you drink this gravy?
So you don't see the inside of the dress, but the inside of the dress is like infused with garlic.
Oh, I like that. There goes my Leia as a vampire theory.
I would have to say the worst bit is Ewok related, because it just doesn't make sense. You know how they're throwing those things and it goes around the stormtrooper's head and kills them, but then Wicket does it to himself. Even when I was little, I was like, is Wicket dead now? Like, did he just like commit suicide?
Wicket wearing no armor. Like, never has the stormtrooper armor been less ineffectual or more ineffectual than in that scene. It's ridiculous. They're basically Dennis the Menacing the stormtroopers, and they're like dead.
Yeah. So we can withstand blaster fire, but a rock, shit. That's crushing damage, and we can't do with that.
All right, let's go into very dicey territory now, and we'll go to The Phantom Menace.
Perfect film.
Favorite moment, Gabe?
I'm not going to say Duel of the Fates, although it is awesome. It's a moment that is one that I still really like now when I rewatch Phantom Menace, which is not often. I really like Anakin saying goodbye to his mum, because stop and think about it. It's like Jake Lloyd's annoying, and midichlorians and whatever. But in that moment, I actually find it to be such a lovely kind of subversion of the whole, we're going on a space adventure. It's like, no, you're leaving your slave planet where your mum is a slave and the Jedi can do nothing to help her, and you're off. And it's like, is it any wonder he turned out the way he did when that was his foundation of going off to be a Jedi? Like, I don't know, I rewatching it, I'm like, I actually think it's a really lovely, really sad moment in a film that has very few moments that inspire any emotional reaction that isn't incandescent rage. So I'm going to go for that.
That is like, there's many parts that I like about it. The Darth Maul fight and all that, but that to me is the most like emotional, like gripping moment, and sort of knowing what happens to him later on, it sort of adds weight. But that whole thing of don't look back and stuff. That gets me. That'll go down as.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's the classiest bit of merch on that film. What about you, Zammit?
Pod racing.
It's pretty sick.
Fucking great.
So good. Ben Quadraneros.
That like fucking like oval teeny shaped motherfucker with like the 6 arms.
Oh, he's the best.
He's
Oh,
great.
What a-
Bulba. It's all good.
What about at the end when I think it's like Watto and Qui-Gon working something out, and then one of the pod racers' families is walking in the background crying because their dad...
Is it Odie Mandrell?
Yeah, I
Because they
think so.
establish
Yeah.
Odie Mandrell's wife and children are watching and then fucking kill him. He blows up.
They're in the background mourning. It's just like,
And you've got like Greg Proost as one of the commentators.
Yeah.
I forget the other guy, but yeah, like that is amazing. And like just like as part of your sport, you just have some Tusken Raiders shooting at the pods as they go by. That's great.
I like that because remember, like back before, like cricket grounds and football grounds got fully commercial, and you could just sit on the hill. And then it was always like Bay 13 or whatever, and that was where all like the harshest bogans went to like get drunk and smoke ciggies and hurl abuse. And I like that the Bunta Eve pod race had its own Bay 13.
Yeah, I would have imagine like if they had a contingency of Tusken Raiders had like crushed VB cans near them, just hurling them at the races. One like a beer can getting caught in those like the chargy bits and just causing it to just to go off course and into a rock. Fuck, why wasn't
like
that
if that's what the
happening?
Tusken Raiders were doing instead of just shooting at them.
Yeah,
that would have been
great.
great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. The pod racing was great. Plus, it gave birth to the Nintendo 64 game of pod racing.
So good.
I was talking
So
about this
good.
yesterday. I could
So
never
good.
get past the swamp level.
No?
Too hard.
Yeah, like I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember like, was there any invulnerability cheat where you just like, whatever, with the turbo thrusters on and just plow through a level?
Well, if there is, let me know, because I'm ready to get back onto the circuit. Top Phantom Menace moment.
I love how much Naboo is the worst place to live. And they were like, we must preserve the sanctity of Naboo. And it's like, why? So you can hang out with C.O. Bibble. Like the most boring character ever. The whole like, communication disruption can mean only one thing. Invasion. It's like, or like this bad Wi-Fi, dude. Like, relax. Everyone on that council
We didn't
is
pay our
like...
Netflix this week.
Yeah, exactly. They're like an Altona Civic Centre theatre production of an Elizabethan show. And like, that is what is at stake at this fucking movie. It's so funny. I hate Naboo. I just hate Naboo. And I love how much I hate Naboo. That's my favourite.
Well, I'm with Shmee. I think Shmee did a great job. Now, go easy, you guys, and just pick one. I know you're revved up, but worst Phantom Menace moment.
Are you an angel?
I was tempted to have that as my best.
I can't get past 9-year-old hitting on teenage girl, and this is meant to be the foundation of a great yet tragic doomed romance. I just can't. It's just like the moment he says that, I feel every part of me clench up.
Yeah, like it's that weird thing with that age gap, because in reality or whatever, they're meant to not be that far apart. Like I think she's meant to be 14 or something like that. 14.
Bad casting.
I think it's about 5 or 6 years.
So 5 or
looks
6
in her
years
20s.
isn't too bad when you say like when you're in your 20s or 30s, but when you're like a 9-year-old, it just feels wrong and weird and kind of just like there's just going to be some statutory problems later on.
Yeah.
And like if you just aged him up a little bit or aged her down a little bit, I think that would have been a lot easier to swallow. But yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, like...
Is that yours too, Zammit?
No, I think is it either the wiggle of the nose with the directions of like what superpowers to use at the start, when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are like, what do we do here in this trade federation? And he's like tugging his ear and doing his nose thing, and he's like, no, we shouldn't do that. And then he like strokes his chin. That is just balls to the wall stupid. But I think the death of Darth Maul. Because again, I remember I was in like year 7 when it all came out, and like loving the hell out of the promotional side of things, and loving Darth Maul, just the aesthetic, and how like cool, we're gonna get a sick villain that looks kind of sweet, and especially that in context with Sith, because it's like Darth Maul had the high ground. So what you're mocking Anakin for, you did,
Save the high ground.
and you won. So that was annoying in and of itself. Of just like, that whole fight I thought was, while it was great with the Duel of Fates, it was very stupid because it's like Obi-Wan stuck between some moving doors, and you're like, excuse me, but like maybe an hour and a half ago you used something called a speed force and you made yourself run real fast. Couldn't you do that again? No? Okay, that's cool. I guess just don't. That's great.
No, because to do it, you've got to headbutt like the right brick to get the gold star.
Yeah. So I guess he just didn't have the right brick. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Great. And then Obi-Wan dies, and Qui-Gon dies, and you're like, I guess sad, maybe. But I thought his character could have been like better if served as he kind of like, because Liam Neeson, good actor. And then when they just waste the potential of Darth Maul, you're like, oh, well, great. And I think that kind of sums up my experience and relationship with the prequels, is that sort of like missed opportunity and that sort of like the potential there that was wasted, because you're like, he had something sick, and like this guy had like 2 lightsabers, which is better than 1 because 2 is more than 1, therefore better. yet you don't do anything with it.
I can tell you used to be a school teacher.
Yes. So yeah, it was the way. Imagine what would have happened if you tried. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that to me is one of the most disappointing aspects of the Phantom Menace.
What about you, Michael?
Just a single line when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are like amoxin or whatever, and they hold their breath, and they fill that room with gas right at the beginning of the Trade Federation ship. And then they fill the room with gas for like a decent amount of time, and then a hologram of either Newt Gunray or Rune Harker says, "Oh, they must be dead by now. Destroy what's left of them." What the fuck is that? It's like,
that is
hey,
an exceptionally good yet racist.
yeah. Well, hey, blame Lucas. They have them in a room full of poisonous gas. Just don't open it. Why are they like, hey, they're probably already dead, but just in case, let all the gas out and shoot them? Would they expect, like, destroy what's left of them? Like, hey, there are probably some corpses there. Shoot those corpses. That'll be fun.
Skeleton.
They've sent in the Dorothy cars. It makes sense, and I hate it.
Wow, that is an interesting pick. I never would have guessed that one.
It's a dumb line.
My one was like also a line, or it was actually a word. It was when Anakin shoots the generator or the whatever in the ship, and he says "whoops." It's just like, do it on purpose. Like,
oops.
You're Darth Vader. Like you're the chosen one. You've got all these powers. It always just,
I'm a stupid little boy.
yeah. It just annoyed me that he, like, all that stuff was like banana peel slipping, and you know, of course, you know, down below on Naboo, like Jar Jar is dealing with like.
Yeah.
A giant truck of banana peels.
Yeah.
I like how we just no one's mentioned Jar Jar just because like it's just assumed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I can sort of just go, yeah, whatever. But I just wished that, and it's such a tiny thing. I wish his intent was to blow it up, or he was angry and that's what made him shoot it or something. But whoops, was just like. Oh.
And they've got to save Naboo. A production of The Merchant of Venice is about to go on stage in the throne room. It's the primary economy of feed.
Very good, very good. All right, Attack of the Clones.
So, Zammit, you once said to me that, like, with the Star Wars prequels, because of the weird way they're placed and that, like, they're weirdly overly political, but they're also weirdly juvenile, it's like the perfect age to watch them is, like, 12. When it's like you're too young to quite pick up on how shit they are, but you're too old to, like, be confused. Or you're old enough to kind of get what's going on. I was 12 when I saw Attack of the Clones.
Lucky boy.
So there is a part of me that, despite recognizing that it is an inherently flawed film, kind of loves it. I do actually think to this day that Attack of the Clones has some of my favorite ever Star Wars dialogue. Like, for example, the part where Obi-Wan says, "He's going to be the death of me," and it's funny because he is. Or when he says, "Look, Padme's getting on top of things and she's climbing on there." It's great. But it actually has my favorite exchange of dialogue in all of Star Wars, which is, when earlier on, Anakin's kind of like, "Oh, we entered into aggressive negotiations," and Padme's like, "Aggressive negotiations," and he's like, "Oh, negotiations with a lightsaber." And I'm like, "Oh, it's a fun bit of dialogue." But then later on, when they're in the arena, and Anakin's like to her, "Do you call this a diplomatic solution?" And she's just like, "No, I call this aggressive negotiations." I love that. I love that beat. I love that line of dialogue. I love that exchange. And I think it speaks to the fact that it is the only Star Wars prequel for which George Lucas had a co-writer. So the bits that Lucas wrote stand out as garbage, but there are moments in there where it has legitimately fun little exchanges of dialogue that almost feel like they could be at home in the original trilogy. And I love that. I can't get past that. No, I call it aggressive negotiations. It's my favorite. It's a delight.
Nice.
Joel.
The death stick salesman. Played
Mouse
by
from the
Mouse from
Matrix.
Matrix. Was he in Home and Away as well?
Yeah,
Remember?
Damo.
Damo, yeah.
Damo.
Yeah.
These kids calling him Mouse. Damo.
So yeah, him being like, "Would you like a death stick?" It's like, "I don't want a death stick." "You don't want a death stick." I'm
You're going to buy some tasty wheat.
So I love that it's just like, hey, there are things called death sticks, which is just fantastic. And that Obi-Wan Kenobi is not above just changing someone's lifestyle on a whim. Just because it's such a holier-than-thou prick at times, and that's great.
That's what he should have done. like when he had those 20 years on Tatooine, started like a rehab center.
Yeah.
And he could just go,
There's precedent for that.
no death sticks.
Yeah.
It's like a hypnotist, like gypsy, like character.
Yeah.
Like lots of rugs.
Do you want to quit smoking? Come to me. You don't want to smoke. Fuck, that was easy. Off you go. Next.
Do you want to not find the droids you're looking for? Come to me.
Yeah, he solved that stormtrooper of his droid finding addiction.
Yeah. He's like, all that crippling anxiety I had about will I or will I not find some droids?
Good day at work, dear? Yeah. You did go to work today. Yes. You weren't just looking for droids that you're not.
I've just had this great idea for a spin-off. Have you guys seen, there's a show on HBO called High Maintenance?
Yeah.
And it's like about like a weed dealer in New York, and he gets phone calls or texts, and he just rides his bike to someone's house, and it follows him, but it sort of goes into all their lives. So each episode there's different people. I want the one with death sticks.
Yeah.
Where he's getting the communication and he goes up to, this level on Coruscant and drops off some death sticks.
Exactly.
And it follows their adventures.
Yeah, imagine that, right? So the first season is him being like, yeah, I'm going to be a death stick salesman. Goes all through that he starts working his way up this death stick empire. End of season 1, like the finale, is him being like, you don't want to be a death stick salesman anymore. He's like, shit. And then season 2 is him changing his life and trying to become like a better part of society, and tries to get all his former clients into rehab.
Yeah, Dexter Jet's is like, I need to find some death sticks, man. What have you been doing?
Well, hospitality. That's drugs. We all know that. What's your best part?
Legit best part. I mean, I love this movie. It's the worst movie, but it's kind of my favorite because I just love it. It's called like Pendranaki Arena or whatever. The whole Colosseum battle where they fight the
Geonosis Arena,
Acklay and the Nixu and the Reek name dropping creatures.
Yeah.
I love that shit. It's so good. It's like clearly like a Harryhausen kind of tribute where they just fight a bunch of monsters for no reason. It's goofy, it's stupid, it's actually fun, and there's very little dialogue, which is a good moment.
I'm with you. My number one moment, and I remember being so thrilled with it when I first saw it, was that, the three heroes, they're done, they're about to get killed, and then all of a sudden, all the lightsabers light up in the background. And then, it's such a corny line, but Mace Windu, the character from Pulp Fiction, comes in and says, "This party's over." I was just like,
Love it.
this is what I love. Like, when I watched wrestling when I was a little kid, I loved it when Hulk Hogan was getting beaten up, and then Macho Man would come in and save the day, and it's like, yeah, someone came through. And that's always my favorite moments in Star Wars is someone coming to help someone else. I just find that really sweet.
Oh,
So
that's sweet.
I from that moment on, even the people don't like it, but I always loved it, the Yoda spinning around thing. I was thrilled. I absolutely adored all those bits. And I always say Attack of the Clones is one of the worst films with the best moments. Because I like Jango Fett versus Ben Kenobi. That's sort of
that's a really
something
good
that
fight.
you always wanted to see.
In the rain and shit.
Yeah, Boba Fett versus a Jedi. That'd be so dope. All right. Go easy. Worst moment.
Look, it's hard to criticize a film that's near perfect, but because I legitimately love Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry, but I do. I've got too much nostalgic love for it. It's like Jurassic Park 3 came out the same year, and that was a good year for me. But
Whoa.
I would. Look, it's just got to be the Sand speech. It's just this one moment that again.
No, that's one of the best bits.
No, it's so garbage. It's just it's creepy. He has this. It feels like an uncomfortable echo of It's like, Anakin, do you still have the mind of a 9-year-old hitting on this older woman? Is that what's happened?
Yes,
is it,
yes,
what
he does.
the Jedi Order is
Yeah,
done to you?
100%, yeah.
You've stagnated as your 9-year-old self. Now you're Hayden Christensen, and you think this is going to work, and then it does?
Yeah.
How? I don't know. That's the one bit. And you know what? Hayden Christensen is... I'm willing to forgive him because, at the time... I think Rick McCallum came out and said a lot, around the time of Revenge of the Sith, people hated Hayden Christensen, but a lot of that was what George Lucas told him to do and how he was directed to act. And it's not great, and it's grating, and it's annoying and everything, but I'm willing to forgive him a lot. But that moment is so skin-crawling and egregious, and just I don't quite get what it makes Anakin seem like a sex pest, but I think it's meant to be romantic. Like, right? But I legitimately feel like George Lucas thinks it's a romantic moment, but it's just not.
Yeah, it explains why Natalie Portman's always at those Me Too rallies.
It's like, well, what's his like first line when he basically meets her in the elevator? He just like kind of stares at her. He's like,
You've
"I'm
grown."
gonna fuck you."
No, it's that. What's
Oh no, that
Annie, you've grown.
That is
you
way
have too.
worse.
Grown
It's-
more beautiful. I mean.
Yeah, no.
For a
it's-
senator, I mean. And then he goes, "Excuse me, I just nutted in my robes." And then he crawls off to a nest of gundarks.
when she says, "Oh, Annie, you've grown," and he's like, "Yeah, you have." As well. That is brutal. It's
grim.
It's
It's
so
so
bad.
It's not
That-
great.
But the reason I like the sand now, if you asked me like 5 years ago, I'm like, "Oh, it's the worst moment ever." But I just like how it's generated like so much comedy and like memes and stuff like that. And I went to where they filmed the Sarlacc pit thing in Yuma, Arizona, and dude, I gotta tell you, fuck sand. It does.
Is it coarse and rough and gets
Dude,
everywhere?
it was in my sunglasses for like 2 months afterwards. I was finding it in my sneakers, like that dude. But you also got to cut him some slack because he's essentially like a priest in the universe, like this like cowboy priest. And if you were like a priest all your life and then you had to like pick up chicks, you'd be like going, "Hey, am I excited to see you, or is that a crucifix in my pants?" Oh, like, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't have the best lines.
But by that logic, because I agree with you. Like, I mean, I can understand that Anakin, like, you know, probably hasn't had much, you know, contact with women he's trying to hit on and whatnot. However, it's the fact that Padme goes for it after that.
Oh, for sure.
That's kind of like I can get that. Even if like the scene was tweaked slightly and kind of almost played for laughs and being like, "Anakin, that's a weird, creepy pickup line. I get why you're doing it, but all right." But it's the fact that Padme, like, at the time, she's kind of like, "You make me uncomfortable." But then after that, she's just like, "Yeah, right, I'll roll around the grass with you. I'll like,
It's like, look,
have you erotically cut up a pear in midair for me and all of that."
Fuck, I forgot about the bear. Fuck. Because how long have they been on that planet for? I mean, clearly she must be bored and horny. You'd be like, "Yeah, all right. Have a crack."
And she has some
Time works
experience. She
weirdly in
dated a
Star
guy
Wars.
on democracy camp.
Yeah.
She's the lamest person in the world.
What was his name?
I don't know, but he was like an artist.
Was it Pablo?
Oh, Pablo and Padme. They both sound like Thai dishes.
I remember because I was like just in love with Natalie Portman. And when she mentioned like Pablo or whatever, I'm like, "Yeah, that guy sounds like a dick." And I shouldn't be one judging anyone just by their name. Do you know what I mean?
Fair.
What about you, Zammit?
I can see if I can do a sound effect for this. But the worst thing I was trying to do this again. It's that fucking lizard.
Oh no, that's in
Revenge
the
of the
third
Sith.
one. You goose.
Fuck! Blew my
And
load
it was
too early.
awesome.
Nah, I hated that fucking lizard. God. All right. So, okay. Worst thing in that film now. Oh man, I always thought that was in the second one. C-3PO getting his head replaced.
Oh, it was awesome. Love it. It's so funny.
Yeah, C-3PO
I'm beside myself.
getting his head replaced
It's great.
by a
Oh,
droid.
there is some competitive worst moments.
Oh yeah.
It is the Olympics of worst
Ugh.
moments. They've all come together.
That was just revolting and terrible. I did like Obi-Wan's beard and hair situation in that.
Very nice.
That was very good, though.
Worst! Stick on topic. I have to say about that whole head dragging, you know, it's drag, whatever. There are these Star Wars figures from Japan, the SH figure arts, and they're like so detailed. Like the Luke Skywalker Jedi one comes with 2 faces and 2 different hairs. There's like normal hair and then windswept hair. They come with all different hands. So they're like the Hasbro 6-inch ones, but they're like hyper detailed, right? So I absolutely adore them. And I had to buy to help me sort of just come to terms with things. They made a figure for some bizarre reason of the battle droid with C-3PO's head.
That's kind of great.
And so it's like the most amazing depiction. It's so like movie accurate. And I just like, yeah, I'm buying this just to send a message that I own this moment now. I'm in control.
Yeah.
So that's how I had to come to terms with it, by buying one of my least favorite parts of the saga.
That whole scene, like how it's basically played out like a video game, with the whole kind of leaping from platform to platform and someone gets stuck and that sort of...
Well, that's a different moment again.
Yeah. Isn't that happening right before the same time?
Well, it's on the same planet.
Later.
It's on the same planet, but I don't think you can claim it as the same part.
All right.
Because I'm going to go with... the drag thing is bad. But I feel like I've solved it now because I bought that figure. But the Droid Factory Mario Brothers level, it just serves nothing except for later on George Lucas went, oh yeah, we could do that. Like if you ever see the filming of it, like it was done way after main production, and it's just Natalie Portman in a giant green room, like jumping over like green kids aerobic obstacles, like just that sort of roll, like a rolling thing to her, and she'd have to jump that, and it's just this giant green room, and it's just
like well done her for like acting the best that she could in that situation.
No, because she acts terribly in these movies.
Well, which is the best that she could do in that situation.
Viceroy Gunray, it has come to the attention of Burr. She sucks, man.
Yeah, but like think who she's acting opposite, which is like a guy in like a green morph suit.
Hey, you be kind to Hayden Christensen.
What about you, Shanksy?
Oh, worst moment? I mean, like, it's kind of already been talked about, but the romance is just so funnily bad. Like, when they're going... the romantic dialogue is what I'm getting at. When they're going into the arena at the end, when she says, like, I do love you, truly, deeply. It's, like, very gross that George was in a room being like, then she's going to say, I love you deeply. It's going to be so fucking
Do you reckon he was
sexy.
typing one-handed when he wrote
100%. Truly.
And there's
I
the
love
other-
you deeper. I love you harder. I love you faster.
I love you, Wetter. Wetter Digital, a fantastic
you.
visual effects house based in Wellington. He predicted the rise of... there's another scene where Padakin, Adme, what are they called? Anyway, anime, that's it. The couple, power couple. They're in Naboo where they've gone to not fall in love, and they have a scene where they're talking about how much they can't bone in front of a fireplace where she is wearing conservatively a BDSM fetish outfit. She's got like a choker and like her boobs are up, and it's like super creepy, and she's like, I
Man, when
can't
I was
touch
12, that gave me uncomfortable feelings.
How did that-
There was an awakening that came about in that scene. I swear to God.
Because you realize you were aroused by fire.
No, by Hayden Christensen's acting.
But how did that come about with the Jedi Order being like, I know you have a thing for Padme, but let's put you in a romantic, secluded place for several weeks. Don't fuck, but you'll be fine.
Yeah, and then he just is begging her for sex, like, I am pleading with you. He says something along those lines, and she just says like, but no, I can't. I'm a senator.
Shanks.
Senators can't bone.
Shanks.
Okay, fine.
You know, in Revenge of the Sith, Ben Kenobi says that the Jedi, Sith Lords are our specialty. That's their specialty. Good ideas are not their specialty, right? It was such a bad idea to send, the girl you've got a crush on, go look after her at an island resort wearing leather and a leather choker. That outfit is exceptional.
It's just comically stupid. Like, or if not, she's the most oblivious. But then again, she did go to democracy camp, so like I can't really fault her. Diplomacy camp, sorry.
Again,
Dude.
she's bored and horny. That's my theory.
Oh, nice. She's hornier than a reek, and that's a monster with a horn.
Yeah, I think the Droid Factory thing, both for in-universe, and I was just annoyed at George Lucas of just adding that on. It's like, this seems like it's just added on, and then you read the making of. This scene was just added on. Thank you very much.
Can I also add that like none of the stormtroopers were real, or the clone troopers were real?
Yeah.
Cool.
And it shows.
That one, I think, is my worst moment in that film.
Yeah, I was juggling. I was like, which one should I go for? And what made it infuriated me was in the commentary, George Lucas was like going, there's we didn't have a single clone trooper outfit on set. And it's like, why? What
You're
was
so
that?
proud. You're so proud.
The budget went to Padme's BDSM outfit. We had nothing left.
No, the budget went to CGIing them all. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, not great. Again, just not great.
Revenge of the Sith.
Boo.
The final George Lucas joint.
I don't feel like I'm acquitting myself very well here, but it's another film where if I've had a beer or 10 and I'm with the right friends and that film gets put on, I'm going to have a wonderful time. If I was going to say the scene that I enjoy the most, it's the final showdown between Anakin and Obi-Wan, because just kind of love Battle of the Heroes. Like, it's ridiculous and it's over the top, but that song, the music playing through it, like, I legitimately think that gives Duel of the Fates a run for its money in terms of like epic, tragic grandeur that it kind of sells despite the film. But the best scene in the movie, I think, is the opera scene with Palpatine.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's one scene where almost, it doesn't, but it almost verges on the edge of something in the same ballpark as subtlety. And it kind of like the way Palpatine's playing Anakin and playing on his fear of losing Padme in the way that you can see what he's doing. But it's so, I don't know, it's just so well played and such a creepy, insidious scene, but for the right reasons, unlike the sand monologue.
That would be a good twist towards the end if Padme revealed that she was Palpatine
the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's so much about like, I am the Senate, amazing. No, brilliant, love it. But like that's one scene where I feel like, unlike the other amazing scenes in that film that are amazing for the wrong reasons, that's one scene where I feel like Lucas legitimately hit exactly what he was going for and in a good way. There aren't many of those scenes in the film. No. I do love the space lizard, by the way. But no, I think that's an excellent scene.
I do love music. Do it. Do it.
Well, your one pretty much has to be the space lizard.
Oh,
considering you tried to use it for another film.
I hate that voice. It's just like it's a sound effect that's grating on me. That's my worst. We're talking about best. And the best would I think the opener of that scene of the whole film is amazing. There's the space battle and the spaceship just crashing down.
What about that opening shot where you just see the two ships
and then they pull over and it's that huge fuck, it's good.
Like, it's amazing. You're like, at that moment, you're like, holy shit, they've done a 180. They could, no, they did a 360. All right, cool. But at that moment, you're like, maybe they're going to do good. Maybe they're going to salvage this series. Maybe they're going to end on a high. No, low note again, low. Oh, the brown note. Oh, they did it. No. But yeah, that opening scene is absolutely phenomenal. And even though, like, the line, like, Sith are our specialty. It's a great line, even though, like, when you think about it, it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, last Sith you faced for 1,000 generations.
You stabbed your master in the back. Like, you're not great at Sith people. Like, he just dragged a platform on you moments ago. So yeah, that whole scene, the spaceships, is amazing.
Michael?
That's overarching Sheev. I love Sheev. Sheev's great in that movie. Top Sheev moments. The whole do it. Just love it. Everything that Palpatine does in that movie is just skeevy sheevy, and I love him. He's a conniving, mean, dastardly villain twirling a moustache that doesn't exist, and I love him.
That Sheev in that movie is just every moment is like gifable.
Yes.
It's just like...
Or memeable. It's so good. It's a gift that keeps on giving. It's such a delighted performance, and it's just so much fun to watch. Like, it's hammy and it's silly and everything, but I love it.
In like the best ways. And I don't know why Ian McDiarmid, is that his name, isn't in like every movie. He's so good.
He's
I feel like he was the only one that knew what was going on in that whole film.
Yes.
Like, he's like, I'm going to have a lot of fun here.
Yes.
Give me some cute scenery. I'm very hungry.
I mean, it makes sense. He comes from Shakespeare planet Naboo. Because that motherfucker can act.
I think my favorite moment, and it's so like a really nice poignant moment, it sort of fits in with my Phantom Menace favorite moment, is when Anakin and Padme are both in, like, Anakin's in the Jedi Temple and Padme's in her apartment, and they're sort of looking over at each other.
And it's just silent?
Yeah, and there's that amazing music.
Yeah, but they're not talking.
And then the Jedi Temple's sort of like smoking, and it's sort of just the ominous tragedy of, when you're watching it, you know how the film ends because you've seen the next film, but it's just that inevitable tragedy of it all. It's like, even like whatever you had with the first two films, like, you follow these characters and you're just like, oh, it's just not going to work out for these people. Like, it is so, like, and it's such a, like, visually poignant, stunning moment that is, it's just that. And I think also when I first saw that scene, it was knowing that this was, or fake knowing, because George Lucas is one of the world's best liars, is that this is the last film. And so I remember, like, walking out of the film sort of like, that was, like, I enjoyed it, but I was sort of bummed. I was like, that's it. I've got to go back to my non-new Star Wars film existence. Little did I know. Little did I know. All right, worst Revenge of the Sith.
I am probably... Look, there's a few. Vader's no isn't great. Palpatine going over the
it's
desk
very good.
With his legs, like, dangling up in the air, it's just not amazing. But I actually think that the moment that, to me, really stands out is that if you time the moment from Anakin being like, it's not the Jedi way when Palpatine's trying to kill Mace Windu to him murdering children, it's about 6 minutes.
Yeah. It's odd.
Like, it's just the turnaround is so quick.
Well, have you ever heard the expression "in for a penny, in for a pound"?
Yeah, but it's just like and even now when you watch it, it's so like. I think that moment or that 6 minutes of screen time is where Revenge of the Sith drops the ball for me, because it makes Anakin's turn not. And I get the idea that it's like the dark side's like a drug, like, you know, you have one taste and then you're on the slippery slope. But I don't think the film shows it effectively, and I think that's kind of why Anakin's like at the end doesn't work, because like we don't see him being really seduced. He literally does it to save his wife for compassionate love, which is said in the second film is like the most important thing for a Jedi. Yeah. And for that reason, he murders children after 6 minutes. I can't.
Yes.
I can't accept that, and it makes it laughable.
It's like
it
he
makes
ran
it
out
not
of time.
tragic.
He's like, shit, I gotta tie this to this other movie, and he gave himself like 20 minutes to do
Yeah, it's
so.
weird, isn't
feels
it?
really
It's got that kind of
rushed.
odd feeling to it, hey?
Yeah. I don't know. You've been around kids for a while?
As a former teacher.
That's why I'm a former teacher. I'm on the run.
Did it in 5.
I think I'm going to use another sound effect, because like first one, I absolutely hate that lizard sound effect. It does something to my lizard brain when I'm like, I hate it.
Sounds like you just hate Ben Burt.
No. I just hate that lizard.
Wally himself.
I love Wally, but like, but the woo-sa,
the
robot.
Medical droid?
Yeah. Which is great if someone's getting like mad at you or like he's getting real angry. You just like woo-sa.
Yeah, they do it in UFC all the time to disarm their opponent.
And they're like, stop making your fucking sound. But no, I just think that whole scene where she's like giving birth and it's twins and it's like woo-sa. And she's like, she's dying of a broken heart.
Why have that line?
Can
Just
I
let
ask
her
a
die in
question?
childbirth.
Can I ask a question? Is anyone else, after you say that, like as you're saying it, did anyone feel more relaxed?
All right, so everyone imagine they're real mad, and then just hear, like, close your eyes if you can. Everyone's like, shh. Now imagine like a peaceful, serene, like beach if you want, and maybe like not coarse sand but nice sand, and just my voice, if not maybe a bit more robotic, woo-sa, woo-sa.
I feel soothed.
Woo-sa. Beautiful. And doesn't it just
That's
put you
very
into
relaxed.
a meditative, relaxative state? I think it does.
That is one of the
Yes.
weirdest
Also,
heckles I've ever had. Is
I think you have a bacterial infection. Men shouldn't do that.
what about you, Shanks?
I've got just a worse moment is this little scene that I was wondering if maybe I could quickly do a reading of with Zammit.
Woo!
Zammit, you can read, right?
Oh wow!
Oh, that's very tiny.
Okay. Whoa. Oh
Oh,
no.
no, yes. Zoom in.
we
Zoom
got
in.
it. Oh, for God's sake.
Come on, phone.
Oh man, I thought okay, here we go. Is this too small?
Oh,
You
my-
be Padme, I be
I like the
Anakin.
dude that can make a CGI
Alright, what do you want me to say?
movie in his mum's basement.
can't read a script.
Use an
Move a phone.
iPhone.
Okay.
So where do you want to start from? Oh my fuck, that is so tiny.
Padme stands and I'll be Anakin. Okay.
Okay.
Padme stands on the balcony, brushing her hair. Anakin leans against the wall, watching her lovingly. Every second I was thinking of you. Protecting the endless, nameless outer rim settlements became a torture. The battles were easy. The longing became unbearable. I've never been so happy as I am in this moment.
Annie, I want to have our baby back home on Naboo. We could go to the Lake County country where no one would know, where we would be safe. I could go early and then fix
Can
up
I
the
just butt
baby's
in?
room.
Can I just butt in? Doesn't the acting in the prequel seem way better after this?
I know the perfect spot, right by the gardens.
You are so beautiful.
It's only because I'm so in love.
No, it's because I am so in love with you.
Kiss, kiss, kiss.
So, love has blinded you?
Well, that's not exactly what I meant.
But it's probably true.
They laugh. End of scene. Fuck that movie.
I'm disappointed we didn't
I
get
think the
kids.
worst moment for me. Oh yes, that was dope. It has to be just 2 letters, or maybe many letters, and that's no. Because it was sort of, I don't know, like if you had a bumpy like thing with the prequels, and I enjoyed them, but I thought they could have been a lot better. And, you know, Revenge of the Sith is, you know, as far, like I really enjoyed it, but then at the end, to like, it was such a weird meta thing that my description of that line is that line.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, as he's doing it, it's like, no, ixnay. And then the fact that then George Lucas like edited it into the Return of the Jedi just to like rub it in.
What a fuck.
But yeah, that was very harsh. It was just like, why? I thought it'd be so much more powerful if he didn't say no, but just broke everything with the Force, and then just
said yes.
and then just
No, just like a yeah, baby, but like Austin Powers-esque.
but just peace out, just like walked out of the room, just like
And said peace out. Yeah, I agree. That would have been amazing.
yeah, just went to
Peace
Sheev, just went,
out.
yo, you're done.
Grabbed a skateboard and did a sweet kickflip.
So that is we've sort of hit the time, and we don't need to get into The Last Jedi because, you know, the entire world agreed it's like one of the best films ever.
Exactly.
So,
Oh wait, no. Best scene though is milk cow thing. That was great.
Very good.
dude, Milk Cow is dope.
I know. I loved it so much.
Yes.
It was the best.
Beautiful.
I just think that is one of those.
There was a statue you could get. It was like of the sea cow in like Slave Leia's outfit. And like someone linked it to me, and I'm like, shit, yes, buy. And it already sold out by the time I got there. I'm on a waiting order now to see when it like eventually pops back up. But I'm looking forward to like having that prominently on my shelf.
Okay, well, we all have hopes and dreams.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You're on thin ice with objectifying sea cows. Okay, so just
They're just a sexy beast, and they say so much to me. with honestly just one look.
But please
One
give a
look and
round of
it's
applause for our guests, you guys. Breaking it down. Gabe, where can the good people follow you on the internet and listen to your podcasting work?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at GO Bergmoser, which sounds complicated but is exactly how it's spelt. Exactly how it sounds, rather. And my podcast is Movie Maintenance. If you Google Movie Maintenance, you will find it.
Excellent. Zammit.
You can find me on Twitter at GoddammitZammit. On Instagram, probably the same, I don't remember. But at GoddammitZammit, or you can follow the whole Sanspants Radio Network on Twitter at Sanspants Radio.
Michael Shanks.
And yeah, you can find me at most things. I'm at TimFed for some reason.
We'll leave that there. Hang out, have a beer. Thanks so much. And may that force be with you. Thanks so much, you guys. Hey, you guys. Thanks for watching one of our live podcasts from the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. If you click that box up there, we have other live episodes, or down here, you can hear the Steele Wars audio podcast with in-depth and hilarious interviews with the likes of Stephen Stanton, Sam Witwer, and Rogue One's Ben Mendelsohn. Go on, click them all. They're fantastic. So fun. Clicking is fun. Click. Go on. Do it.